Ladies and gentlemen, now the brand new August patch is just live, so if you haven't updated, head over to the App Store. And one of kind of the nice bonuses of this month is the Champion Boss fight has finally been toned down to a bit more of a sensible level. I would say this fight is still a challenge, it's still very annoying, however, the last phase is so much easier than it previously was due to a couple of different changes. So the three changes that happen with the fight is the first one is he used to have 25% block penetration, which along with his attack just made his damage on the block and parry just absolutely ridiculous. So this has been changed from 25% to 2%, so you're going to see a lot less block damage, a lot less parry damage comparatively speaking. Now the second change to this fight, which is quite a nice one, is during his 40 to 10% phase, he used to deal 10% of his current attack as instant unavoidable damage whenever you nullified a buff. And this has been changed from 10% all the way down to 2%, so yeah, it's a lot less noticeable. Like, it wasn't too bad before, but if you allowed him to get some Furies and the fight got out of control and then you tried to nullify, this could be a really lethal combo. So now it's really not going to be too much of a problem. A little bit of fun and interactive damage, but 5 times less comparatively speaking in that 40 to 10% phase. But by far the biggest change to this fight that's really going to help a lot of players out is during that final phase, they've reduced the amount of dexterity charges you need to KO him from 5 down to 3. So you need 2 less dexes, and there were so many points, especially when I was doing my initial free-to-play run against the champion, where I'd get 3 or 4 and then I'd die due to the block damage. So the two things that really go hand in hand is the massive reduction to the block penetration and also the charges being reduced from 5 to 3 in that final phase. So overall, that phase, which was the really big problem for a lot of players, has now become much easier. Granted, this fight is still a challenge, it's still not an easy time by any standard of the game, but it's a much more fair challenge than it was previously. I just know so many players that literally quit the game on this fight because that final 10% is so stressful, and it does take a lot of practice to nail. And before going into the champion, you know, even after his nerf, you will need to ideally practice dexing the special 1 and special 2, just to make sure you can get that timing just right before you go against this guy, because, you know, he's right at the end of the quest. You don't want to be wasting a load of revives on some free practice that you could have done against a dual target champion. So yeah, you still need to do that before you attempt that fight. It's a little bit of a heads up, but you can see here we are in the final 40 to 10% phase. So whenever we nullify, we're going to take a little bit of damage. It's like 251 damage, so previously it was like 1250. So yeah, a massive reduction in that. Like, the nullify again barely does anything. And once you get on top of this fight, if you have a good Mystic Champion and also Mystic Dispersion, you're really not taking too much block damage, at least until the final phase. I know other YouTubers like Metal Sonic Dude, Karate Mike, Legacy, they love the champion fight, they do it every single day, they've had so many KOs, but I'm still a little bit rubbish at this fight, man. I don't practice it very often at all, so going in today, I did 2 runs. I did one like pre-nerf and post-nerf, and I could really feel the difference. We're going to have a look at the pre-nerf stuff, but now we're in the final phase, so you can see he's got 3 indestructible charges, so now we need to dexterity his special attacks 3 times in order to throw a special and KO him. However, here he was acting really weird, man. He wasn't running, he was just walking toward me. So yeah, I was finding it a little bit difficult to bait out the special here, man. He's acting very weird. But here I was a bit too far away, so we didn't get the very close dex there, because you've got to be like ideally right next to him or charge in right at the right time to dex his special 1. But here, as soon as he slams his head forward, we dex and then we go for a counter. I've got my special saved up at this point because we don't need to throw it for any reason. Symbiote Supreme got really good buff control, so we didn't need to worry about his Unstoppable or his Fury. So yeah, we fire off the special 3, get a little bit of distance here, push him back. We go for a cheeky little parry. Again, on the parries, you are taking almost no damage in comparison to what you take before. Literally, like, 1 parry, I swear, used to be about you know, 15% of Symbiote Supreme's health. I failed on dexing the special 2 there. Again, I'm a little bit rusty on this fight, man. I'm certainly not the best champion fighter out there. But here we get the timing absolutely perfect. We managed to dex the headbutt at the end of that special 1. So at this point, it feels pretty good because I've already got through all of the fight. I'm not really taking anywhere near as much damage as you used to in the final phase. We get a nice little dex on that special 1, special 3, and we finish off the fight. So yeah, in comparison to his previous version, because I did both today, because I wanted to have them both fresh in my mind, he is so much easier now. You're still going to need a basic understanding of how the fight works and his phases, and also a good Mystic character as well. However, if you got those, man, you're laughing. It's a much easier fight, so I was impressed by some of the changes to it. So now, just to compare that to the run that I did this morning, so this is before the Champion nerf here. I couldn't get the one-shot this morning because I was taking like way too much damage in the final phase. But you can see like every single parry before the nerf was dealing about 1,300 to 400 damage. So yeah, the pre-nerf fight, man, had some crazy block damage. Like even if you got the perfect parry, you were still getting absolutely smoked. And that made the last phase very difficult, especially when you're blocking parts of special attacks if you're a little bit of a noob like myself. So yeah, for the first like 60% of the fight, in all honesty, not too much has changed. It's still a very similar fight, but the thing that makes it so much easier really is that block damage. It does make a world of difference if you're trying to progress through this fight. I think here as well, because this is my first try of the day and I wanted to kind of get it in my head ready to deal with that final phase. See, we took a single blocked hit there. We lost 14% of our health, man. So yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Like the difference on the block damage is just night and day. So yeah, stuff ain't looking too good initially for our boy Symbiote Supreme for the full solo on this one. But during the core of the fight, you know, once you really get into it and start building up that power meter, the Mystic Dispersion Mastery just does some really solid work. But also Symbiote Supreme, being Symbiote Supreme, is a bit of a beast as well. Before the nerf, he was one of the best options for this fight, but after the nerf, he's still one of the best options for this fight. But yeah, let me know in the comments section below who you think is the absolute best option for the champion. I know a lot of newer characters like Mojo and Sorcerer Supreme and Doctor Doom tend to work quite well for this fight as well, and I would imagine with some of the changes like Clairvoyant's going to be amazing. I think she was amazing before, but one thing that held quite a few champions back maybe a little bit, unless you're a super skilled player, is kind of the lack of block proficiency, because if you're missing a bit of block proficiency, you would really feel it. I got a bit unnecessarily hammered on the special one there. There was no reason for me to really take block damage at that point, but I only took like a couple of hits there, and we are down to 48%. I think I finished the fight after the nerf on about 48%. Like it really wasn't too much of a sweat in comparison. But yeah, we still have to deal with the final phase here as well, and also during this phase, now we've entered the 40% phase. This is where you have the 10% nullify, so you can see our health is just going to be taken away in fairly substantial chunks every time we nullify a buff. So if you look out for the degeneration damage, it was 1,254, so that's now been slashed down to about 250 on Symbiote Supreme. We'll be on you know, any Mystic champion where you can keep his buffs under control. Fairly flat value there, so really nice change. I think obviously the ideal change would be to straight up remove all of the fun interactive damage, but 250 per nullify like really isn't that bad in comparison to what this used to be, which is a lot scarier, man. Losing 5% of your health every single nullify. So you can see here 28%, unless you are literally the most skilled player in the world. Going through this fight, you stand absolutely no chance of getting the 5 dexes in the final phase. Again, unless you got like those mad skills and you can kind of dash into the special one at the right time and then dash out. I think there are a few guides on YouTube knocking about for evading the champion's special attacks if you do want to check those out. But yeah, this phase, it really does beat you down, really does abuse you, or did abuse you before the nerf, but now it's a lot more controllable. I think throughout this phase, we've already taken about like 20-25% of our maximum health just through fun and interactive damage. So yeah, that's it's great that it's now been nerfed from like 5% of your health every time you nullify to only about 1% now. And as soon as I was in the final phase, I'm like, okay, we can just get here, it's game over, like there's no way we're going to get those 5 charges off. So I brought in Doctor Doom to finish the job, and the thing is, in comparison to Symbiote Supreme, Doctor Doom has a lot more block proficiency. This guy has one of the best block proficiencies in the entire game, but with the block penetration, he was previously getting hammered. I would imagine reduction. After the 23% reduction to block proficiency, Dr. Doom is just going to be crazy in the final phase. Kind of the same thing with Captain America Infinity War as well, but with Doom, you really just want to spam heavy attacks in this phase. The most important thing in the final phase has always been kind of keeping those buffs under control for the most part if you can. So you want to nullify, you want to stagger, you just want to make sure he's not constantly going unstoppable and backing you into the corner and getting wrecked. But again, Mystic Champions have a lot of tools at their disposal to do it, especially the really, really good ones. So yeah, I'd like to see Dr. Doom actually in the final phase, like after this, because he was just getting nuked on the block, man. Really, really slapped up here, but he's still managing to get through it. So he's got 3 indestructible charges at the moment. Managed to get a cheeky little stun here. I think we go for the dodge on this one. So at this point, if the champion was nerfed, we could have just KO'd there. But yeah, pre-nerf, you had to deal with all of this crazy fun block damage and just keep on nuking through to get all 5 indestructible charges down. So yeah, a little bit intense at this point, but we're just holding the block. We get the swipe there as soon as he goes for the headbutt. Cheeky little inset, man. I was playing quite on the ball there, actually, really getting into this fight. But yeah, I feel like the champion now is just so much more enjoyable than he used to be. Like Dr. Doom with one of the best block proficiencies in the game, bro. I still lost like 80% of my health on that. But again, you know, I'm not the best champion fighter out there, but we still did it one last time before this fight got nerfed. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed the before and after the nerf comparison today on the champion fight. Best of luck if you're going for it. Take care, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.